This is the Yunzii RT75, a 75% layout rapid trigger keyboard that costs around $90. And the most surprising thing about this keyboard is that it's actually pretty good. In this video we'll do a quick unboxing, check the build quality, but most importantly we'll look at accuracy and performance tests. And just for the record, Yunzii did send this keyboard for a review, but it didn't affect my opinion about this keyboard. Inside of the box you will find the keyboard. The 50 shades of grey you see here is the only available colorway for now, but I've got to say I really like it. Looks clean and should look good in any setup. Apart from the keyboard, you will also get a simple USB-C cable that you can connect the keyboard to your PC, a 2-in-1 keycap and switch puller, which will be helpful if you want to replace the keycaps or switches in the keyboard, a set of transparent WSAD keycaps which will show more of that RGB goodness, and 2 spare switches which can be used as a replacement. The switches used in this keyboard are Otemu analog switches. Before we talk about build quality, let's do a quick sound test. For a budget-friendly analog rapid trigger keyboard, I have to say it sounds pretty good, much better than other budget options I have tested and better than Razer or SteelSeries counterparts. And that's because inside of the gasket-mounted keyboard we have a couple of layers of foam which help the keyboard sound much better. The keycaps are cherry-style double-shot PBT with non-transparent legends. The legends are clean and easily readable. There's also a knob which you can assign various functions to. By default, you can use it to change volume. It has a clearly pronounced step and it's nice to operate. The only thing I don't like about it is that each step changes the volume by 4% instead of 2%, but it's not too big of a deal. At the bottom there's 2 sets of feet which can help you angle the keyboard the way you like it. In order to change any performance settings on the keyboard, you will need to use a web-based QMK app. The app is pretty simple to use, although I wish the interface was just a bit better, as in this form it's a bit convoluted and somewhat confusing when you're using it for the first time. And by the way, when you open the web app for the first time, you will need to download a driver which will allow your browser to connect with the keyboard. I also had to do a PC restart as it didn't seem to sync at first. The app is your standard app. You can change RGB settings, remap keys, record macros and so on, but for me the most important part was the performance settings. Here you can assign different settings for each key individually or for all keys at once. There's also 4 profiles you can choose from, but only one allows you to fully customize the keyboard. The main advantage of analog keyboard is obviously the fact that you can change the actuation level within the range of the switch, which in this case is anywhere from 0.1mm up to 3.7mm. Rapid trigger can be set anywhere from 0.2 up to 2.5mm, which is fine I guess, as I believe setting rapid trigger to anything below 0.3mm is not worth the typos and accidental button presses you will get. The keyboard has 1000 Hz polling rate and it might seem that it's too slow, but it isn't. I tested the input latency using speed camera, the Sony RX100, which allows me to record videos at 1000 frames per second. The camera records the moment the scope in button is released and the time it takes for the action to be visible on the screen. It's the same method I use for testing all of the keyboards, so it gives us a good reference. And the Yunzii RT75 is one of the fastest keyboards I've tested. In Overwatch 2 it was only 1.6mm slower than Wooting and 1.3mm slower than Backspace Oasis 75. For this price point I think it's great. Same with the accuracy, it's good with small margin of error as the keys weren't reacting precisely to the set value, but fortunately the difference was around 0.15mm, so it was pretty small. Overall, I am really happy with what $90 can get you in 2024, a decent, good sounding and very well performing rapid trigger keyboard with all the necessary features and a very friendly form factor with a knob as well. If you're on a hunt for a new analog keyboard and don't want to spend too much, I can honestly recommend the Yunzii RT75 as a good budget friendly pick.